What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Bladen Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time in Matthew Spinauer and Theo Ash. Welcome back to the NFL season. We have a great episode planned for you all today. We're, of course, going to discuss the games that occurred today, and we're going to finish things off with kind of, drafting the top performers of the week, probably, and talk a little bit about college football as well. But before we get into that, Matt, Theo, I would ask how you're doing, but seeing as I'm the only one that got a win today.
The first time in history where you can say you had a better week one than us.
Yes, I can. I can say that.
Your team still sucks, man. They're not going to win anything ever.
yours is worse. Sorry.
I'd rather be bad. We're going to get a good quarterback at some point. Your team sucks, and the refs gave you the game. I don't know why they did that.
The refs gave you the game.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I hate to say it.
I'm
going to leak your personal information on Twitter.
My personal. I hope you do, man.
I'm putting your address on my Twitter now.
Do it.
I'm doxing you.
Bladen with the let's go brownies, and you just reply with his personal phone number.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah?
Is this your home address?
Phone number.
People think Matt's like some crazy hacker. Nah, he just has my address.
No.
Yeah, the Panthers, they did get screwed over at the end of the game. They did.
Oh.
They got hosed. You know it. It's okay.
No, they didn't.
Yeah. Oh, was that? You know what? This is actually one of the things I wanted to talk about. What? I can't even think of the name of the penalty. I'm totally blanking on it.
The
late hit on the quarterback.
It wasn't. That wasn't the penalty that even should have been called.
Roughing the passer was the
hit that should have been called was the one on Donovan Peoples-Jones. I posted it on my Twitter. Donovan Peoples-Jones. The ball hits the ground. The ball hits the ground. The play is clearly dead, and he gets blasted.
And they didn't call. This is the other penalty.
God.
They can't get right. Roughing the passer has gotten so completely out of hand, regardless of the Panthers game.
Bro,
regardless of the Panthers game. Okay.
Roughing the passer.
Let's talk about something else. No. Let's talk about something else.
Let's talk. I hate talking about penalties. I hate it. But yes, you are right. The roughing the passer has never since Aaron Rodgers got hit by Anthony Barr. There has never been a good roughing the passer penalty since that moment in time. They have all
it's totally
in college.
It's totally fucking ridiculous, dude. It's unbelievable. Like the play that Quinn Ewers got hurt on in real time. That was not like some malicious attack on him. That's how football works. And all of a sudden now instant replay has like morphed people's minds into thinking that every single hit on a quarterback is roughing the passer. Oh, well, you can't drive him into the ground. That is a tackle. How are you supposed to tackle them? Seriously, no one knows the answer to this. You just aren't. And this is what it really is. It's like you can't touch the quarterback because they're too likely to get hurt. And that's the only position we're ever going to market outside of receiver. So too bad.
Yeah. There was a play where Travis Etienne got absolutely crushed by, I think it was Derek Forrest. And had that been a quarterback, it would have been a penalty.
Oh yeah, I mean
you're right. It was the cleanest, most like perfect form tackle I've ever seen, and he just got flattened. But like, had it been it would have been a penalty if it had been a quarterback.
I mean, when is the last time that you've watched a game that did not have at least one drive ruined by a roughing the passer on third down? I can't remember. It happens every game.
This Packers
Does it not?
Didn't have it. The Packers didn't. But no, you are right. It's a ridiculous penalty, and it was a little bit questionable at the end of that game there. And I hate when refs make themselves involved in the game to decide it. But the Panthers versus Browns game, although it was the Stay Hot Bowl. Not the only game that.
It was also the Baker Bowl.
Happened. The Baker Bowl, the Stay Hot Bowl. But before we get into the rest of the games, anything we need to plug?
Make sure you guys, of course, go to the Instagram, follow the Instagram at StayHotBW. like Blue Wire, Stay Hot BW. I think you get the gist. And of course, join our chalkboard. Link to all of our stuff is in the bio of all of our socials and in the description if you're watching on YouTube of this YouTube video. And if you're on YouTube or you're not on YouTube, why don't you head on over to YouTube and press that big red subscribe button? We'd really appreciate it. And the other thing I think we need to plug.
Trade Coffee. Look, it's no secret that I spend more time than the average person watching and breaking down film, especially with week 1. I'm going to be all over that. I mean, sometimes I'll stay up all night just breaking down every single little aspect of a quarterback's throwing mechanics. But with that being said, I do need a solid cup of joe to keep me going through the night. So let me tell you about Trade Coffee. It's a coffee subscription service unlike anything you've ever tried before. Because they partner with top independent roasters to freshly roast and send the best coffees in the country direct to your home on your preferred schedule. The coffee I get from Trade is so good, I can't believe how much I like what they picked for me. And their team actually worked with us to create our own custom collection, which is great for me because I don't have to settle for the average cup of joe when I'm in those late night film sessions. So if you're like me and want your coffee to taste perfectly, like a perfectly thrown goal line fade, go check out the Stay Hot collection at Trade Coffee. It's way better than the Travis. Some are saying it's the greatest collaboration in the history of food and pop culture. And if what I got isn't up your alley, don't worry. Trade will have whatever it is you want. You can shop their most popular coffees by roast or by flavor profile, or you can take their coffee quiz and get expertly matched with coffees you'll love. You've got nothing to lose because Trade guarantees you will love your first bag. And if not, they'll work with you to replace it for free. So if you want to support small businesses and brew the best cup of coffee you've ever made at home, it's time to try Trade Coffee. Right now, Trade is offering our listeners a total of $30 off your first order plus free shipping at drinktrade.com/stayhot. That is drinktrade.com/stayhot for $30 off your subscription for the best coffees in the country.
In the country. Listen,
in the world.
We had a very rough start to our fantasy league. Like extreme, like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for our fan. Like we played Mahomes. We played Mahomes right off the bat, and he threw 5 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara had like less than 10 carries. I think. What was it, like 12 total touches or something like ridiculous. Damian Pierce was non-existent. Mike Williams had 2 catches. Like the only guy that showed up was Travis Kelce. And then like the other guys that showed up were on our bench. So like,
to be fair, we benched Miles Sanders in a kind of as if we got to play off the bit that happened at the end of the fantasy draft live stream for AJ Green. I felt like we kind of had to start him after the whole dialogue that happened towards the end of that fantasy draft. And honestly, I didn't think it was going to be the worst move in the world because he was the only receiver that the Cardinals had that was like over 6 foot. So I thought maybe with a bunch of guys out that they could be a decent play. But sadly, Miles Sanders was on the bench. At the last minute, I texted these guys in a panic saying, we got to bench Michael Thomas. He's on a snap restriction. Jake Glazer just said he's only going to play like 20 snaps today. We got to bench him.
And then he caught 2 touchdowns.
He caught 2 touchdowns. So it could have been better. If
it could have been a lot. It could have been a lot better. But okay.
That's the way it goes.
We're not totally cooked yet, right? Because we're up right now. We're up like 10. And but
they have,
we are, but they have.
Do they have like Cortland Sutton, Javonte Williams?
It's Javonte and DK.
Okay.
So like there is a world where like Melvin Gordon just like.
So we need a Surtain and Melvin Gordon masterclass, is what you're
pretty
saying.
much.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
not like
we have nobody
infeasible.
playing.
I don't think so. I think we're done.
This is why I like best ball, man. That's my least favorite part of fantasy is picking who to start.
Okay, they also have the Dallas defense. We have Tampa's defense. So like, and I'm pretty sure that's going in our favor still.
It is.
It's playing in the background right now. I mean, Dallas only has 3 points.
Is an interception happening?
No.
Dak
Zeke's
almost.
just
Dak's had
looking like
Dak's
a Power
had,
Dak
like-
did have an interception.
Yeah, Dak's had a few.
Dak is not playing good, is he?
Not particularly.
When that's what happens when you have one starting caliber wide receiver on your entire roster, like the
Schultz.
Cowboys
Get
do.
him the
Dalton
ball.
Schultz.
Anyway.
got to get Zeke and Pollard involved. Yeah. Anyway, there were, other than our fantasy team, there are a lot of other teams that did not rise to the expectation, did not perform to the level that we necessarily thought they would. Should we start with your lock, Theo, the Cincinnati Bengals over the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, they were my lock. Well, my first lock, I want to say this, that my first lock of the week, the one that I felt the most confident about when I had the first overall pick in our locks draft, was the Kansas City Chiefs, which came true. But yeah, let's talk about the Bengals and just kind of, I want to have a general conversation about some of the heavy favorites that lost today and some of the playoff contenders that lost today, because midseason form is a real thing, right? Sometimes it can take a little bit to knock the rust off. And with some of these contenders that lost, the Bengals, the Rams, the Colts didn't lose, but they tied. Some of these guys, some of these teams that the Packers, my Packers, some of these teams that we were all excited about, should we still be excited? Or is this like a legitimate warning
Is it
flag?
over?
Is it over? Is so the season is over? Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about
funny.
let's talk about the Bengals and let's talk about Joe Burrow and their disaster class, which under different circumstances I would be making fun of some people on Twitter or being agitating towards Bengals fans. But since I locked them, I was right there with them. But yeah, I watched most of that game, and Burrow took, I think, 5 sacks, if I have that right, 5 or 6. And the pressure rate that the Steelers had was honestly not crazy high. This wasn't one of those constantly under duress games, but when he was under pressure, he couldn't quite find anyone. He couldn't escape. T. Higgins went down early in this game with a concussion. Boyd got hurt. And I do tend to think that the Bengals will be fine. Now, I think what my main thing about this was the Burrow arm strength concerns did pop up a little bit for me. Like the first pick, he was trying an extremely high level, difficult throw where someone was running an out route. There was a corner trailing him, and there was a guy in the flat. So he had to get it in front of the corner trailing him, but over the guy in the flat. That throw.
This was the pick. This was
the Minka,
right?
the Minka pick 6. Minka was coming down from his safety spot. He was behind, like he was getting ready to jump that. So you need to keep it in front of him. But if you wanted to keep it in front of him, he would have had to loft it over and underneath the fender, which is an extremely difficult throw. And Burrow doesn't quite have maybe the facilities for that.
Bless his heart.
Bless his heart. That was not great. Yeah. And then the throw to, I believe it was Boyd over the middle that Cam Sutton picked off. That's a laser up the seam, and you just got to rip that thing. And it wasn't quite ripped with the velocity you'd love to see. And yeah, a lot of Burrow's explosive plays come on these go routes. No safety, really over the top. He can get the ball that amount of distance, and he throws it with a lot of loft, and he gave Chase a lot of time to track it. These kind of like bullet throws into really tight windows where those picks were happening, and that's where I kind of think his lack of arm strength showed up a little bit today. But overall, he did bring them back, did give them a chance to win. The last drive, that incomplete pass to Chase, which was an amazing catch, but he just got his foot down just a little bit out of bounds.
That could have been the catch of the year.
That could have been that was almost so amazing. And I thought he dropped some really nice plays on that kind of red zone game-winning drive. So I think they're going to be fine. I think that I think the Steelers defense is really certified, and it's a shame that TJ Watt went down. But yeah, Hayward and Watt, and they made some improvements in the front seven, and the run defense looked so much better. And Tomlin obviously has him coached up just right. So this Steelers defense was really balling. And I think even without Watt, they'll continue to be good. Not great. The ceiling really gets lowered without Watt, but it's a really good defense. I thought they looked better, substantially better in the second half. And I do think the Bengals won't reach maybe the heights that Bengals fans expected them to reach, which was just like, they'll just walk on right back to the Super Bowl. But I do think that they will still be in a position to contend for this division. That first half, they just looked real sloppy, but I don't think they're going to look that way all the time.
The first play for the Bengals offense was a sack on Joe Burrow, and I was like, man, Cam Hayward went right through. Like
Cordell Volson.
That was the most like porous offensive line play I've seen in a while.
Burrow did hold it for like 5 seconds, to be fair. I didn't think it was like
on the first play.
Yeah, I didn't think it was like Hakeem Adeniji level bad.
Maybe not.
It was bad though. It was I mean, we're splitting hairs here. Yeah, Hayward beat him pretty.
Hayward. He pretty much just like devoured. I think it was the left.
I was a little concerned about Zach Taylor. I suppose that's another thing where Chase had like a game-winning touchdown that Taylor just didn't challenge, even though it was obviously a touchdown for Chase. They were still pretty predictable. There wasn't a lot of play action. So I didn't think the play calling was exactly the most inspired, just like last year, really. So I guess that's where I'm the most concerned is same as last year is Zach Taylor really maximizing this offensive talent is where I'm most concerned, other than, does Burrow just straight up suck now, even though he didn't play a great game. But
Matt, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Evan McPherson missed a number of field goals that could have put the Bengals not just in a position, he could have won them the game a number of times. Do you feel that a top 10 player in the NFL could have changed that for them?
I think you telling me that tells me you don't get where I'm coming from with the Tucker stuff, Bladen.
All I'm saying is Tucker would have made the PAT.
It wasn't his fault at all.
I know
it wasn't McPherson. It wasn't McPherson's fault at all.
So no, Justin Tucker wouldn't have been blocked. I mean, he's the best player in the NFL. No,
the snapper.
I don't want to hear about Tucker. I don't want to hear anything about him. He would have missed too.
Let's talk a little bit about the Steelers, because they also played in this game and they won this game. I don't know how much of this watched.
I don't think Trubisky looked that bad. Like, he wasn't great, but I don't think he was like he all time bad. There were no like Trubisky. Bad. There were no, but there were no Trubisky moments.
He was bad.
I'm not like common Trubisky L.
He was pretty bad.
I mean, I
think he threw it like, first off, dude, these teams with mid quarterbacks cannot help themselves. They're throwing it 50 times anyway.
Yeah.
They don't care at all. Teams have just they're throwing it. I mean, how many times Trubisky had 40 attempts? Flacco had 60.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, who is on pace for 1,000 attempts this season. But I don't know. I think I thought their offense was crazy limited.
It was, their offense looked bad, and they had 5 takeaways in this game. The defense had 5 takeaways, only for them to put up 20 points in regulation. Trubisky didn't have a complete disaster class. I don't remember any picks. I should look that up.
He didn't throw any picks.
No. He didn't throw any picks, but it was nothing.
What was his average
crazy.
depth of target? 4 yards.
And there were some of the most incredible catches I've ever seen from their skill position group. Deontay Johnson's one-hander on the sideline, I think during the fourth quarter or overtime was crazy. In the red zone right before the Najee Harris touchdown, I believe. Chase Claypool had a ridiculous one-handed catch that I tweeted out. But overall, Najee Harris got hurt. But even before that, their running game wasn't going anywhere. They couldn't really put points up on the board or move the football, despite the fact they had so many takeaways. So the Steelers' offense, like I said, that they would be a mid team this year, and the offense to me didn't move me. The defense was totally balling. It was totally balling, and Tomlin is that guy. He really is. Yeah. But with TJ Watt, it looks like he tore his pec, is what it really seems like.
And it looked like that on footage too.
He ran off saying peck, like holding
that's
it,
what
touching
he
it, and
could not lift his arm, and
he was
so scary to see.
In shock. He just ran right to the locker room. He was borderline, like clearly like almost in tears. Like, yeah, his season is most likely over from where I'm sitting
And
right now. But
it sucks. He's amazing.
Yeah, I would just say like as far as the Steelers go, they kind of are who I expected them to be a little bit, where they have a good defense, a much improved defense. Tomlin's got them well coached, but the passing, they have good skill position players like Claypool and Deontay Johnson making these crazy catches. But just the Steelers, like going forward, I do think that the quarterback offensive line situation is going to be too much for them to overcome to actually make a bunch of noise in the AFC. So
when they play the Browns, Myles Garrett's going to have himself a day.
He is.
I'm excited for that. But
do you guys agree with me about the Bengals? Are you guys on the same boat where you're not?
I'm not too worried.
No,
Matt,
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I mean you.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, Matt, you're higher on the Bengals than both of us. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they played a horrible game and they lost off an extra point, so they'll be fine.
Exactly. But there's a lot of other upsets we need to talk about. I want to bring up the 49ers and Bears. This is the 49ers I'm not worried about either. And the reason I'm not worried about the 49ers is because the game that we watched today was just like totally, I've never seen like,
It's a slop game.
It was a slop. The sidelines weren't even straight. Like, what are we talking about here?
You got goofy sidelines. It's, they're out in the mud. You can't take those games too seriously. It's a monsoon.
Yeah, it's just like there's no way to possibly judge that game, I think, accurately. Like I feel like Justin Fields wasn't under nearly as much pressure as you would have expected from guys like Bosa. But then you also have to think like, oh, well, the surface that they're pushing off of is like moving. So like they're not getting nearly as much force, out of their, explosion, out of their like
stance.
They're not going to be as explosive, and you're not going to generate as much pressure. There's just a lot of slipping and sliding. But I will say that final clip of like Justin Fields sliding on the mud, then like jump. That's the clip of the year. That's face of the NFL right there.
I think that. I mean, you can just say it was rainy and then that was it. But
it was
what killed the 49ers is. Yeah, what killed the 49ers was that I don't think they trusted Trey Lance. Like they're trying to ease him in. And then on top of that, it's pouring rain. So their game plan going into it is like, oh, we're going to be incredibly conservative and we're a great running team or we're going to run the ball a lot. But they were way too predictable and they got way too boring and the offense was completely kaput. And there's I don't even know if there's necessarily like, oh, well, you should have just stretched the field with Trey Lance. It's like, I don't know if that would have worked. And I mean, again, this was more than just a rain game. This was like ridiculous downpour, to the point where you can hardly see what's going on the field because it's all on the cameras. But I think that was their big problem. And it's kind of like a one game situational. You get back to San Francisco, it's not going to be like that. So right. I'm not too worried about them. I don't want to judge Lance too much off this one.
They looked unprepared to play from behind. They looked totally unprepared to play from behind. I thought it kind of seemed like an egotistic game where it just seemed like they thought there was just no way they would ever have to play from behind against these Bears. So they were just running it. By the time the Bears took the lead in the fourth quarter, I think it was, Trey Lance had completed 8 passes total. And right. So they thought they were going to just be able to cruise through this game on the ground. It was muddy. It was horrible. And in the slop fest and in the and credit the Bears defense, they played well. They played really well.
They did.
And because I thought that the 49ers offense was, as usual, very pleasant to watch with the eye candy and the different things they were doing with the Lance option. Lance kept it a bunch of times, and I think he was actually their leading rusher. So they played pretty solid considering the looks the 49ers can throw at you from the run game perspective. But once Lance was down and they kind of had to throw it a little bit more, the 49ers offensive line looked bad. The 49ers offensive line and pass pro looked bad. McGlinchey was getting beaten by what's his name? It's who's the guy from Miami? Yeah, Alton Robinson or something like that.
I cannot remember his name, but
it was someone like it's like some like Robinson, I think. He had a nice game. He had, I think, 2 sacks, and McGlinchey was supposed to be their second best tackle, and was getting beat pretty handedly by him. The guards, the interior offensive linemen are. There's been a lot of turnover there with Laken Tomlinson leaving and Alex Mack retiring, and there was a lot of pressure in Lance's lap once that lead change happened. The pick to Eddie Jackson was an amazing play by Eddie Jackson. I haven't seen a play like that from Eddie Jackson in a long time, where he dropped down like he was the robber in cover 1, and he just kind of made a beeline towards the middle of the field. So Lance thought he was kind of okay to target outside the hashes because he didn't think the safety would be there. But Jackson was reading his eyes, moved and then just moved into the throwing lane. So he totally fooled Lance. It was a great play by a vet. Not necessarily like this horrible mechanics, horrible inaccurate. Oh my God, what was he seeing? Play by Lance there for me. So the pressure killed a drive. A great play by Eddie Jackson. And I don't want to be like making too many excuses for Lance, but like seriously, that's what it was. Like that's seriously what it was. It wasn't this like, oh, he has no arm strength. Oh, he has no mechanics. Oh, he didn't have any idea what he's looking at there. But
I felt like I was watching like prime Eddie. I was like, oh shit, Eddie Jackson's back. Like
it was a fantastic play by Eddie Jackson, man. And then after that, it just started totally downpouring, and like the ball was coming out of his hands wobbly. And he had some nice throws called back from penalties. So yeah, I agree. I worry about the offensive line. I do worry about the offensive line for them. But overall, it is Trey Lance's first game. It was just a total mess. And the other thing I wanted to say about this game was their safety. Dominique Robinson. That's what his name was. Dominique Robinson. I wrote it in my notes that I wasn't looking at. But their safety, what's his name? Miami. Yes.
The 49ers safety?
Yeah, the 49ers safety. Hufanga, I think his name was. He played fantastic in Jimmy Ward's absence. Yes, they might have something. They might have something there with him. But yeah, I'm a little worried about the 49ers from the offensive line perspective. But as far as like giving Lance a little bit more time, and I'm not totally out on him because of this game, or necessarily Fields even, because I kind of gotta give them an even field if I'm gonna be like, oh, it's too sloppy to do anything. Fields I didn't think played great either. Sloppy. Fields' pick though was legitimate. Like Lance's pick, I was like, great play by the safety. Fields' pick, I was like, what?
The one where it was like, what did he see?
What did he see? What did he see? I do not know what he saw. And maybe the all 22 will reveal something, but from the broadcast angle, he looked like he just threw that directly into quintuple coverage.
It's like that Mac Jones preseason interception.
That's exactly where my mind went. But the throw to Pettis was nice when he rolled out and then hit it on the other side of the field.
That was just crazy.
That was creative. That's kind of what came to mind for me. It's
that play was bonkers. I'm like, there's no way that I just watched Justin Fields like evade pressure, roll to his left, and then just to think that there's a guy over, to even like spend the time to glance over there. That's kind of what that's creative. That's good awareness of where everybody is, because sometimes that guy will be wide open, but you're just not thinking, oh, I should be looking as far away from where I am now as possible. So that was nice by Fields. And yeah, I have my doubts about this team, but I'm not. This game was a total like shit show. There was like no way. Once you like saw the conditions, you're like, how am I going to predict this game at all?
If Jackson and Robinson play like that, though, then their defense will be pretty good. But
yeah, Matt, your favorite game of the day ended in a tie, Texans and Colts.
Yeah.
Did you see my tweet, by the way, that never in college football would you get a tie?
That's true. That's the one weakness of college football. No, it was. I guess we're talking about, are we worried about the Colts too much?
Yeah, I guess.
I think yes. I think this is a good example of what's wrong with them. Their passing offense is not going to be that good, I don't think. They're just like you said it before the season. They're not going to generate a bunch of explosives, right? Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce and Matt Ryan, doesn't
Yeah.
move.
It's not
And
Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. It's not.
It's not.
Now, the idea is that you're going to be like, okay, you're going to be this great running team, and you're going to you just need Ryan to not make stupid mistakes, and just like manage the game. And it's not going to be about explosives. You're going to methodically march down the field. That's okay. If that is your game plan, you have to be better in the red zone. You have to be able to get it in. Like they were within the first half. I think they got within the 30 4 times and got 3 points out of it. You can't do that. And they turned it on a little bit later in the game. But the whole idea here is like they targeted Pierce a couple times in the end zone. He wasn't able to come down with it. I know the whole idea here is that they're going to have, Pierce and Pittman as the 2 red zone targets sounds like pretty good on paper. They've got to get that actually down pat. There's no reason why they shouldn't be at least a little bit better than they were today at that. So I think that's the number one thing to watch for the Colts. If they got to be better in the red zone.
I know Pierce had a really bad drop in the end zone. That should have been a touchdown.
Yeah, sadly he did. But Matt Ryan's average depth of target was 6.5 yards down the field. 6.5.
Damn.
And I don't have like a list in front of me where that ranks among like everybody this week, but I promise that's probably pretty low. Okay. And so here's the thing about them. Am I worried about them in the sense like, am I worried about their viability as a Super Bowl contender? Am I worried that they'll be able to move the ball downfield? Yes. But then I look at the other teams in their division and I say, well, I'm a little bit more worried about the team that lost to the Giants today. And, so I still think I'm not necessarily worried about their ability to win this division. I don't think they're incapable of doing that. Let's see. I'm looking at Matt Ryan's longest pass today. He had 2 that went over 15 yards in the air. He had 2.
He's just like, it's just not their game plan. They just don't want to spread the field. And I think that's just they have to be way better when they actually get down the field then.
You need to be able to do that. Yeah. You need to be able to hit some explosives in the passing game. You do. So I am a little bit worried about their weaknesses and they didn't ease my fears like some teams did today. I would say I'm a little worried about them, but I was never crazy high on them to begin with. I do still think they can win the division, and I'm more worried about a team we'll talk about later, if not next.
Yeah. I'm
Davis Mills, though. Wait, let me talk about the Texans. Davis Mills, that guy's going to be the next Goff. Like, that guy also didn't complete anything over 20. Wait, no, he did. He completed a 40-yarder. Davis Mills played decent today. I think Davis Mills
he's fighting for his life out there.
He's going to be all right. I think he is going to be a low-end starter. There was a play when the Colts made their comeback where there was the Davis Mills leg and seek drive where they had a chance to win it. And Brandon Cooks ran an out route and Mills threw an absolutely horrible pass that was almost picked off. And I don't know if there's a miscommunication or what, but that's kind of how I felt about him. I was like, okay, he was kind of doing all right, being accurate, making decent throws with pressure in his face. Nothing crazy, nothing like off platform, but I was like, he looks like a solid quarterback. He looks better than any of the other 2021 like quarterbacks. And then when like the game was on the line, he like missed horribly. And I'm like, so he's a guy that might be fine, but like not someone I really want when the bullets start flying. That's kind of my take on Davis Mills so far. And Derek Stingley, I thought played real well. He had a gorgeous pass breakup on in the red zone. So he was nice. Pierce should have run. Which Pierce are we talking about?
We're talking about Colts. The Stingley broke up that pass. Pierce drifted back on it.
Pierce did not have a wonderful.
That. No, he did not have a good game. He did not play good. I'm afraid.
Neither did our other Pierce, Damian. They decided to give the ball to
Rex Burkhead.
Rex Burkhead.
Put the game in Rex Burkhead.
Rex Burkhead got the ball 14 times.
I think I made a joke about Rex Burkhead winning the starting job a couple of days ago. And little did I know.
Pierce wasn't great.
It wasn't a very funny joke, Matt.
Burkhead did not. Burkhead did not.
No, Burkhead did not.
Was not very effective. There was a touchdown to OJ Howard that Davis Mills threw on play off
two
play
touchdowns
action.
to O.J.
Two
Howard.
touchdowns. The second touchdown, Damian Pierce had a very nice pass block. Picked up the blitzing linebacker, put his body on the line.
How many fantasy points do we get for that?
We don't get any fantasy points from that, but those blocks let you get fantasy points in the future. So I like seeing that. Jonathan Taylor played all right. I'm not that worried about the Colts. My expectations for the Colts are about the same as they were before, which is mid-team that could win this division. That's where I'm at with the Colts.
All right, well, let's talk about the other AFC South team and how they lost to the New York Football Giants. Saquon Barkley's back.
Saquon.
Kenny Galladay played like actual football. That was weird. He like ran some routes. Put his hands
Kadarius
up,
Toney.
like got them around. Unlike Kadarius.
I'm sick about that. Kenny Galladay has 10% of the talent that Kadarius Toney has, and Kadarius Toney was just straight up benched.
It's the same thing as Rex Burkhead and Damian Pierce. It's the same.
He's a
same old song and dance.
Kenny Galladay
man.
is the Rex Burkhead of wide receivers.
He might be, man. Do you know who led the Giants in receptions in this game? Maybe you have it up in front of you.
I don't.
Sterling Shepard.
Was it Sterling Shepard?
I believe.
He left it in yards, but it was Richie Grant.
Oh, in receptions?
Richie Grant was caught more passes than anyone else on the Giants today.
Oh, brother.
And the Titans still lost. The Titans.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Their whole identity is pounding the rock. And I mean, Henry did not look nearly as good as Saquon Barkley. I'll say that.
No.
Negative 0.34 yards or EPA per carry for the Titans. Wholly inefficient day on the ground for them. And their passing attack was somewhat like decent. It was somewhat efficient. Kyle Phillips had a nice game except for that muff. But yeah, man, like Kyle Phillips is your leading receiver and Henry doesn't quite look like prime Derrick Henry. And your defense is getting ran all over by the New York Giants. Like Christian Fulton got burned by Sterling Shepard, just torched.
Dude.
Yeah.
Your team identity is a 28-year-old running back coming off an injury. This does not bode well for the team, I'm afraid. I hate to say it. And I'm willing to, give Henry a pretty reasonable break. I feel like he's earned that. And then see a little bit later, but like I was hoping
he looked more explosive. I was hoping he looked a lot more explosive than this coming off the injury.
I think a lot of people were. He looked powerful, but not explosive. And that's what you need from him.
We'll see. But it was such a juicy matchup, right? The Giants, they just cut Blake Martinez, missing both of their edge rushers. Like that's a juicy matchup.
Who did you say led the Giants in receptions?
Richie Grant.
It was Saquon Barkley.
Oh, was it the wide receiver who did?
Okay.
Richie Grant had 5.
Saquon Barkley had 6 catches.
Okay. Richie Grant had 5. He was their leading receiver. He was their leading not even their leading receiver yardage wise, but he had a big role in the game. You got beat by the Giants, whose most reliable wide receiver was Richie Grant. But shout out the Giants. Shout out Brian Dable. Saquon Barkley was nearly in tears when they scored that last touchdown to put him ahead. They were freaking out. They were just the team energy seemed really, really high, really high, and emotions were running high, and there just seemed to be a good vibe and a good energy around that team by the end. And I love a good redemption story. Michael Thomas, you saw it today from him, someone who came back from injury and was productive.
Yeah.
Same thing with Saquon. So shout out the Giants, man. I still am not totally sure this is a very good team. If we're talking about playoff contenders that we're worried about, mark me down as a worried about the Titans person. So yeah.
I'm much more worried about the Titans than I am the Colts. I'll say that.
Yes, I agree.
I would probably also agree. Yeah, I probably also agree.
All right. One more team, I think, or one more game to discuss. The Thursday night game, Rams and Bills. This is the only game where right out the gate, or I guess I won't even say that because the Chiefs came right out the gate and were awesome offensively too. But the Bills came out, and as far as like the early slated games, then you compare that to the Bills game. The Bills came out and were awesome offensively.
I am feeling good about my Super Bowl pick right
as
now.
you should.
They're the heavy favorites for good reason. That team is so good.
That team rocks, bro. They're awesome.
Allen played so incredible. And I saw people like, he threw 2 picks. You can't say he played incredible. Shut the fuck up, please. Those were accurate passes that those 2 picks.
Okay, hold on. Theo, do you agree with me that second interception was not Allen's fault? Or not entirely Allen's fault?
If I were to give it kind of the 0 to 4 grade, like on my interception scale, I would say I'd say he threw it late. I'd say there was a moment where he was more open than maybe. I think he got to the read a little late. But I do think what's his name should have attacked the ball. He should have kind of attacked the ball a little bit more
when he came out of that route
forward.
Did you see how he came like at the top of that route? He's jogging. I am like he is not running full speed coming out of that.
Was
route.
it zone? I don't.
It was man. Okay, it was a cover. I went back and watched the All-22 on this because I was just getting so like heated about this with Twitter. It was a cover 1 zone with a linebacker underneath, and I don't know if he was
cover 1 zone,
a cover one man with a linebacker underneath, and I couldn't tell if he was playing like a middle zone or if he was spying Allen. But that wasn't really what I was focused on.
Both.
Probably a little bit of both. But what I wanted to see was the end zone angle because I wanted to watch Allen's eyes. And sure enough, Allen spent the majority of that play. He wanted Stephon Diggs on the outside because Stephon had one-on-one press coverage with Jalen Ramsey. And it looked like at the point where Allen wanted to throw this, because I think he ended up double clutching it, at the point where Allen wanted to throw it, Diggs was covered. But then, like, when Allen took his eyes off Diggs, he ended up actually being open, and that probably would have been a catch on the sideline. But then by the time he gets back to, I cannot remember who the receiver.
It was Jamison Crowder.
Jamison Crowder. He gets to Jamison Crowder, and at that point, that's when people are like, oh, well, the pass is late. And I'm watching this play like develop, and I'm like, I don't think Jamison Crowder or Gabe Davis thought that pass was ever going to go to them. And then like Allen comes to rip this absolute laser, and Crowder's like, oh shit, I am not like running for this ball.
There were maybe some things that Allen could have done better, but overall it was a catchable pass. It wasn't a pass that deserved to be intercepted. Like, oh my God, it deserves to be picked. Allen got the ball out in 2.32 seconds on average, 2.32. Ben Roethlisberger last year was famously the fastest quarterback to get like a pass out on average. It was 2.36. Yeah. So imagine if Ben Roethlisberger was getting the ball out that fast. Allen's accuracy, like his on-target percentage, was charted at 97% by Sports Info Solutions. So imagine if Ben Roethlisberger had like the pre-snap understanding of defenses and that kind of timing with perfect accuracy, basically, and also hit like some 50-yard touchdowns on the run in that game. Like it was just even though it was 2 picks.
Kay Adams did an interview. Kay Adams did an interview with Sean Payton prior to the game, and she asked him about Josh Allen, and all he had to say was like he kind of compared him to like a younger Ben Roethlisberger, just in terms of like.
Give me
like
current
talent.
Josh Allen over
young. That's what I was thinking of. But I was like, as far as
man, yeah.
As far as like props though, like youngest guy to ever win a Super Bowl, I was like, that's some pretty high praise.
It is. I mean, Roethlisberger is a future Hall of Famer overall. But the question is, like, yes, the Bills are good. They were getting home rushing 4. Von Miller looked incredible. Yeah. Jordan Phillips looked incredible. Everybody looked great. But are you concerned about the Rams? Do we think the Rams are in trouble, or are they just
Yes.
knocking the rust off.
I'm worried about him.
Terrible. Yeah, super worried.
Offensive line looked bad. And I think I don't know. I think their offense is lacking a lot of juice right now. They need to get the ball to Robinson more.
Robinson, I made a video about this. They're playing, like, I think when they get zone, they just look at Cooper Kupp, which is fair. And because the Bills were starting a 6th-round rookie corner, all the Bills did was play zone. So they're just like, we're just going to pepper Cooper Kupp with targets. And Cooper Kupp had an amazing game. I think when they play more man, we'll see more Allen Robinson. But yeah, this offensive line without Whitworth and without Brian Allen now for the next month or so, it's just a horrible unit. And Matthew Stafford, I don't know how much his elbow was bothering him. He made some nice layered throws to Cooper Kupp. He made some horrible passes. But that's been true of Stafford in the past. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, Stafford is not above games like that, even with a functioning elbow. So I don't know, but
it's not the worst. It's not the worst Stafford game I've seen.
They can't play press man coverage because no one except for Ramsey in their cornerback room is good enough to do it. Outside of Donald, like Leonard Floyd and whoever their Von Miller replacement was horrible. I thought Bobby Wagner looked pretty slow, even though he made some plays that showed up on the stat sheet, and he looked kind of slow to me. So yeah, everybody knew I was very worried about the Rams before. I didn't have them in the playoffs, but this is kind of the worst case scenario. They looked like a team that, their head coach thought about retiring the week before. They played 100% 11 personnel. They never brought on 2 tight ends, or it was just the same personnel play in and play out 100% of their plays. So that's just kind of a lack of creativity from McVay that I'm not accustomed to seeing. And it's just like, are they that sure that those are their best 11 guys? Do they not believe in their running backs enough that they want to see anyone else? Like, do they not believe they have depth at tight end where they want to see 2 of them on the field? Like, you're in one personnel the entire game. Kind of makes me think like you don't really trust your depth. And they have starters out there who probably should be depth. Ben Skoranek. So yeah, I'm very worried about them. Worried about them. And yeah, I get that they were playing a very, very great Bills team, man. But yeah, Ben definitely worried. And the Packers. The Packers is the last like contender in trouble that I'll talk about. And I was laughing watching this game because it was just exactly what I thought it would be. It was exactly what I thought it would be. Zadarius Smith was just killing everybody. The tackles did not show up to play tackle today. The offensive line just was letting everyone through. Rodgers was getting killed. He was throwing fits on the sideline. Christian Watson can't track he's great at getting open deep, but he can't track the football deep, and dropped the pass. And after that, Rodgers didn't target the wide receivers anymore. There was just no chemistry across the board. They came out flat. It was exactly like last year. I literally bet on the Vikings. I bet on the Vikings because I knew that this was going to happen. It wasn't just, Theo likes to bet against the Packers. I knew this was going to happen, and I'm not necessarily worried about it. Just like it's happened last year too. They just came out totally flat, and Rodgers wasn't in sync. And they didn't have Bakhtiari or Elton Jenkins or Alan Lazard, who's all coming back. So I'm not so worried about the Packers. They just, Vikings are a good team. Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter are very good players. Justin Jefferson went. The Offensive Player of the Year campaign is off to a nice start.
No. MVP. Fuck Offensive Player of the Year, bro.
He's not one of them.
The MVP campaign starts now.
Mahomes.
Although as somebody who had Patrick Mahomes MVP, Justin Jefferson Offensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett DPOY. Narratives are looking good.
You had a good day. You had a good day.
I had a solid day.
Who do you pick for Rookie of the Year?
I forget. I think I had Olave and Hutchinson. So
okay. I thought Hutchinson I watched the first half of the Eagles game, and then I assumed it was over, so I turned to one of the other games, and then at the end, I see the Lions covered,
winning by 3.
The Lions ended up covering, which was my main concern. But yeah,
because you bet on that game.
I bet that the Eagles would cover, and then they were up 35-14 or something. I was like, oh, perfect.
That's okay. Well, I mean, bro, how much football did we all watch today? Like an insane amount of football, I presume. Like if you were watching Red Zone, 7 hours of commercial-free football. How much screen time is that? I don't care if you don't like Red Zone, man. How much screen time is that? Because it's a lot.
I feel like that would hurt my eyes.
I think so too, right? Between like your phone, your monitor, TVs, laptop, it's just a lot. And I can almost say, like, I can say for certain, I spend so much time on these screens and on an electronic device. But the truth is, whether it is working on your computer, watching TikToks before bed, or watching the NFL, that amount of blue light exposure can be damaging to your eyes. And studies have shown that exposure to blue light from these devices can lead to headaches, eye fatigue, blurry vision, and even trouble sleeping. And as someone who already doesn't sleep well and gets migraines, I relate heavily to all of those things. But worry not, I'm happy to say that our friends over at Felix Gray can help. Their blue light glasses filter 15 times more blue light that can make screen time tough on eyes and disruptive to sleep. And still not convinced? Well, what if I told you I'm wearing these glasses right now? And if you had glasses like these, you could look just as drippy as me. Look, I got a pair of them on. They're fire. I would never lie to you. All right. I always get compliments when I wear my glasses. All right. Even my mom likes them, and my mom doesn't like anything. So, but
the Bladen's mom endorsement's a big one.
The Bladen's mom
really
endorses.
The Bladen's
really
mom endorsement. It's huge. So if you want the best prescription or non-prescription blue light glasses on the market, make sure to use our URL, felixgrayglasses.com/stayhot. Again, that's felixgrayglasses.com/stayhot. Free shipping, free returns, free exchanges, felixgrayglasses.com/stayhot. Now, we already talked a little bit about the Browns and Panthers, but Matt, I'll give you the floor in case you want to spill your beans about Baker Mayfield and how bad he looked.
He's not, there's a world where the refs don't screw up the last drive, and we're talking about actually Baker didn't do that bad, right? I mean, this is true. If the Panthers defense had held up that last series, we wouldn't be talking about how horrible, but that wouldn't be the narrative.
He did.
Baker was bad. I mean, the first half was just unbelievable. It looks like, it was the first time they were ever playing together. He kept dropping the ball. Like, I don't know what to tell you about that, man. Like, that's not good. I don't have a good way to analyze that. Towards the end of the game, he started to pick it up a little bit. I think the one good thing about Baker is the deep ball really is not bad. And he's got a little bit more, like, than compared to Darnold, he's got a little bit more awareness about him. You say a lot of times, like, what is Baker Mayfield like really good at? Not much, but there's a lot of things that he's not bad at. And that's the perfect quarterback for the Panthers, who are the exact same way. All of their position groups, I could see a way where the Panthers offensive line or their receivers or their running back, if McCaffrey's healthy, or I could see a way where the quarterback is good, or I could see a way where the corner, but no position group on the Panthers is like for sure confidently great or good. It's all, that's kind of the same way with Baker. I wasn't super mad at it. I mean, I want them to tank and get a quarterback, but I'm not surprised.
Fair enough.
Did anything from the game? Obviously, we've talked about some of the contenders who lost, but there's games that we haven't covered yet. Is there anything you guys saw from anything we haven't mentioned? Chargers, Dolphins, whatever other games. Anything else that has stood out?
I got two.
We're talking about. Yeah, hit me.
Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, so sick. So
sick.
Even if they don't even if that team in the long run doesn't do anything serious ever, who cares, man? That's such a sick receiving group. And the other one is that Lawrence, clock's ticking. He's got to figure it out sooner rather than later. All right, Urban Meyer, okay, I agree. You got Laviska Shenault running into other receivers out there. All right, fair enough. Nothing you can do about that. But he has some bad plays, man. His bad plays are rough, dude.
Some of his misses are pretty indefensible, I would say. Like, there's some plays, some accuracy issues that he definitely has where I'm like, that's bad. But I thought the Jaguars overall today and the offense, their floor looked so much higher than it has in the last year. Like, their floor looked pretty high. I didn't think Lawrence played that good. I didn't think it was a total disaster class from him, but he definitely didn't play what I would consider like really good football. Wentz, though, I thought Wentz played okay. Wentz also had some very bad misses. But here's the thing. Wentz had to have thrown over 30 passes. If you can win a game where Wentz throws over 30 passes, that's
41.
like he threw 40. Okay, so he threw over 40 passes. His EPA was positive. He made some really nice throws. So like he had some bad misses too, where I was like, wait, what? That was such an easy throw that he just missed. But he overall played efficient while attempting over 40 passes. And some of these throws, Heineke does not have in his bag.
No. He's got a lot more facilities when it comes to that stuff. The thing is like, he was playing really good, and I'm like, wow, Wentz is actually having a real nice one. And then he had a couple just stinker plays. It was like, and it's just like in the fourth quarter, it's like, of course. But he pulled it back together and won him the game. He really is like, I don't know. I'd say of all the quarterbacks who are in that mediocre tier, give me Wentz over all of them. Really. I mean, like, if he can just clean up those plays, dude, he'd be pretty good.
He would be, but we've been saying if Wentz can clean it up, we've been saying that for 4 years now.
I understand. Like we're pushing 30 with him, so
yeah. But he's just the anti-system quarterback, which is kind of what makes like if you're going to be bad, at least be fun. And he's definitely like when I watch him, I'm like, there's some high highs here and some low lows, and I am getting a kick out of watching this game. But today it was mostly good, and Jahan Dotson was a player I was not crazy high on coming out of the draft. He to me was small. I had questions about, can he beat man coverage? Can he break tackles? Is he going to be dynamic after the catch like he was in college? And in this game, I think he only had 3 catches, but 2 of them were touchdowns, right? And that last one was, I meuld never question his ball tracking, and I would never question his hands. And that was crazy ball tracking. That was crazy,
bro.
Looking that in. So that was an amazing catch. And the first touchdown too, he swiped the hands away from the defensive back and was able to kind of explode out of that, efficiently beat what looked like, I think, like catch technique or man or something like that for the other touchdown. So 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. Like if it was 3 catches, 0, like there were long stretches of the game where I didn't hear his name. So we'll see. Like I'd like to see him be a little bit more consistent in the future. But man, like the high highs there were like, oh, that was really, especially the end, really special catch. So yeah, I hope Jonathan Allen is okay. I haven't checked actually if he's good. Hopefully he is. I saw that he went down.
Shout out Trayvon Walker.
Shout out
Trayvon Walker too. Yeah, he was really, really nice. He looks like the best player on the field, kind of with his sack and with his pick. Bladen, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a couple of things before we move on a little bit. Both AFC East quarterbacks that we watched play each other today, garbage.
Tua,
Mac Jones, Tua, get out of here, man! Like
I'll be honest,
I
did not watch that game outside of the touchdown to Waddle and like the Hill catch.
That's pretty much all there was. So
we were watching Red Zone at my place. I have a friend who's a Patriots fan, and it flipped to the game, and it was like Mac Jones standing like right by his own end zone in the pocket, and it was like a highlight. And you're like, I don't think this is going to be a pro Patriots highlight. You see, it's like this rusher comes up free off the edge. I was kind of surprised. Mac and Tua. Yeah,
the sense I got, this is literally me speaking completely out of my ass because I did not watch this game at all. So I'm about to give you the most like
I didn't watch. But here's what I thought.
I didn't watch at all. Because I'm not made out of time and screens here. I had 4 up, and this one wasn't working, so I couldn't see it.
And he hates Red Zone, so
I like watching a full game in its entirety over Red Zone. That I don't hate Red Zone, I guess, but
I'll have a couple of games up, and then I'll also have Red Zone.
That's fine. But anyway, it seemed to me like the Tua plan, like it seemed to be what I expected, because I see Tyreek Hill catching screens and breaking them for first downs. I see Tyreek Hill contested catch, like could be a pick, but Tyreek Hill wrestles it away from the defender and makes a play like that. I see like on a fourth down, Tua hits Waddle on a slant, and then Waddle turns it upfield, and that's how they pick up 60 yards. And I'm like, this is what Tua needs to be. Like, I'm not seeing any crazy Tua things here. I'm seeing crazy wide receiver highlights here. And that's kind of what I expected from this Dolphins team. And if you're a Dolphins fan who's like incredibly defensive to it, like just enjoy the team. Like it's going to be a fun team either way. Like it looked like the defense was balling out from my eyes. It looked like the wide receiver duo is as advertised. So I think they're going to be a good team. But to me, it seemed kind of what I feared going into this, where it's like, I'm going to have to, and maybe Tua balled out. Maybe he did, but it kind of seemed like I'm going to have to slander Tua even as the Dolphins are good because he's got very nice weapons.
Yeah. He's gonna hold them back. I feel like there's gonna get to a point where maybe this offense gets a little predictable, and I don't know if Tua is going to be able to pull the strings together and elevate that offense if it needs to. But I'll slander Tua till the end of time. The other thing, bro, can Justin Herbert please throw the ball to Mike Williams? Like
Justin Herbert played fantastic today,
and so he did. And he threw it to Mike Williams like twice.
I have a bone to pick with him.
What
he
my sweet
may be
boy.
A little softy, I believe. I've come to realize this.
Who? Herbert?
3rd and 3 on like the 4-yard line. Do you know what play I'm talking about? Did you see that one?
I probably did.
He should have picked that up, and he totally crumpled down. He does not like taking hits, does he?
Wait, are we talking about Herbert?
Are you saying no dog in him is what you're saying?
I'm not saying
I know exactly what you're talking about, actually. I know exactly. I thought for sure he would have picked that up, and he thought about it, and then he said, "No, I'm going to the ground." Softy might be a harsh word. He is very quick to make a business decision. Josh Allen
makes a lot of business decisions. Yeah, Josh Allen would have lowered.
Josh Allen would have lowered the shoulder and run someone over.
Cam Newton didn't pick it up.
You're talking about the fumble?
What are you talking about?
No Cam Newton slander.
That's harsh, man. Don't bring that up.
I'm just saying.
No, Cam Newton fumbled in the Super Bowl. Okay. I don't know.
I'm just... Yes, Herbert didn't lower his shoulder there, and maybe we'll post the tweet that we're talking about tomorrow or the play that we're talking about if you missed it. But yes, there is a play where he was running like towards the end zone, I believe it was. Maybe it was the first down. I think they were like maybe inside.
It was both.
The 20.
It was like first down and then
it would have been first down and like goal at the 3. And I was like, oh, here it is. And then I was like, oh. But I mean, he hit especially in the first half. Like the throw to Keenan Allen on the corner route where it was just a laser beam 40 yards, just like whistled over 2 guys' heads and like hit Keenan right in stride. His second touchdown catch was fantastic. He was balling out without Keenan for a large majority of the game, without Mike Williams being heavily involved and was throwing it to some dudes I have only heard of once or twice.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Khalil Mack looked fantastic. And Mahomes too. Like Mahomes and Herbert, I thought today, like we don't have to talk about the Chiefs that much. Like the Cardinals are just
we're gonna draft our top week 1 performers, so you'll get an opportunity.
Go if you want to hear about what happened like with Mahomes and what that looks like. Go listen to last week's episode when I locked the Chiefs again and was talking about the Cardinals. So yeah, like just go listen to that because that's exactly what happened. They blitzed Mahomes because that's all Vance Joseph can do, and Mahomes just picked them apart. So I thought him and Herbert both looked pretty fantastic in this, and I feel pretty confident in that. The Bills, the Chiefs, and the Chargers are kind of what I'm looking at right now and being like, those are it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys won or lost your bets today, but if you're going to bet next week, just know that today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Odds Trader. For play-by-play updates, live scores, and bet tracking, Odds Trader is the place to go. They have the best price on every game and sign-up offers from multiple sportsbooks. Plus, they have player statistics, key game stats, and even projected game day weather. You can use their bet tracker to keep records of all your games and betting activity. OddsTrader.com is the #1 site for all your game day bets. To begin your handicapping journey, make sure to go to oddstrader.com/bluewire. OddsTrader is the beginning of your best bets for all sports. Download from the App Store today. I remember which one we forgot about, the Eagles and the Lions, but I turned that one off at halftime to watch more exciting games
Falcons
that were happening.
Saints.
And Falcons Saints.
Yeah, Falcons Saints was like...
I'll break those down on TikTok because we're running out of time here.
We are running out of time. We started recording this episode at 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's late. All right.
Yes,
but
I will talk about them on TikTok. I will break. Don't
Okay.
worry, Eagles and Saints fans. I already talked about Michael Thomas a little bit.
Eagles got the W. That's all I care about. MVP Jalen Hurts coming soon. But we're going to draft our top performers from week 1. We're going to each get one pick just because we're short on time and we don't want to kill our editor. All right.
So we're picking one player.
We can do 2. So it's like an actual.
Picking one.
Let's do 2 so it's an actual draft.
Okay, well,
Okay,
all
We'll do
right.
2.
Who's starting?
Mattis. It's Matt, Theo, me.
Okay.
All right, give me Josh Allen. He was, well, you know what? Give me Patrick Mahomes.
I was about to
I
say.
changed my pick. I'll take Patrick Mahomes. He was balling today.
I thought for sure.
Here's the thing, dude, about Patrick Mahomes. I think there are guys within his stratosphere, like Allen and Herbert. I think they are. But I think for the next 10 or so years, the question's always going to be, who is the best quarterback in the league, Patrick Mahomes or this other guy? But Mahomes is always going to be the top dog in that conversation, and for good reason. Him being as good as he loses Tyreek Hill and the offense doesn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
He's just that good.
Mahomes, he picked up 33. The Chiefs' offense picked up 33 first downs on 66 plays today.
That's insane.
I think
every other play is a first down.
I think it's with Mahomes, it's going to be like Peyton Manning from the years like 2002 to like 2015, about when he won 5 MVPs and he was the best quarterback in the league through like, I guess Rodgers had a claim for some of the, like Rodgers was kind of next level for some of that. So maybe like 2002 to like 2010 when Manning was like kind of undisputably the best in the league. Sorry, Brady fans. But I think that's what we're looking at with Mahomes right now, is like a Manning stretch like that. My pick for my performance of the week, I got to show respect to the guy that killed my Packers, Justin Jefferson, who had, I think, like 190 yards, something like that. Those over routes, he was just killing us over and over again. There was a play where like he made Darnell Savage do a pirouette, like he was in a music box or something, and then sped past Amos for a huge play. His best catch of the day was honestly not even one that counted. They called him for a push-off, but he beat Jair Alexander and then flashed late hands and made a quick catch up above his frame on the sideline. Fantastic catch. Great catch. Bullshit call. He didn't actually push off Alexander. He kind of had his hands on him, but he didn't push him away. He kind of just took them off of him. So that was a bad call. That was a fantastic catch. And we saw him in that kind of more Cooper Kupp role. You saw him in motion. You saw him with more snaps in the slot outside. They lined him up all over the formation. They moved him around. And that Cooper Kupp role, I mean, Cooper Kupp was Hunter Renfrow tier before, like they really emphasized that role for him last year. And Justin Jefferson was a top 5 wide receiver in the league before being put in that role. So the possibilities and what he can do, it's kind of he was a really popular pick for Offensive Player of the Year for a reason. And it looks like he could reach those lofty heights today. So that's my top performance of the week.
My top performance of the week, you both had great picks. Those would have been my first 2 picks, Mahomes and Jefferson.
Nick Chubb and your kicker. the Browns
Yep.
kicker.
Cade York. Nah, Cade. I had a list. I was compiling a list today of like my top performers, just like as the games were going on. Cade York came in at number 10. Just because I was like, I mean, he was 4 for 4 and hit like a 60-yarder game winner.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like that's a great performance. No, but my top performer would be Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Very fair.
Pick 6, 14 tackles, blocked a kick, like what are we?
Won the game for. He won the game for.
He won the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he was playing out of his mind. We talked about just how good that Steelers defense was. I mean, bro, Minkah Fitzpatrick, he was all over the place. There were guys that I ranked super high last year on my top 100 just because of like how active they were around the football. Minkah keeps playing like this. Like he's going to earn a...
PFF is in shambles watching their 4th lowest graded coverage safety from last year. Yeah. No, he was someone I was fading a little bit. PFF tricked me, and then I watched the film from last year and was like, oh. And then I watched the film week 1, and I was like, oh yeah. I just laughing at how
good like watching
he was.
This game, you're like, oh damn, he was out of this world. I'm blown. And I'm like, that's the one thing that I'm like super terrified for going into like week 4, I think, or week 3 against the Steelers is like, we're going to have Jacoby Brissett and we have to deal with Minkah Fitzpatrick and Cam Hayward. But especially the way Minkah Fitzpatrick played, like that man was out of this world.
You get 2 picks.
So, yeah.
Who's next?
I get 2 picks. I guess I would say, I'm torn. Devontae had himself an absolute... I'm going to pick Devontae. Devontae had himself an absolute day. That route he ran against Asante Samuel Jr., like, he now has 2 dads. Asante Samuel now has 2 dads after that route.
He's the third. He's the third now.
He's the third. Yeah. Devontae Adams is now... No, he has to change his name from Asante Samuel Jr. to Devontae Adams Jr. That's what he has to do. No, but
I'll go with another guy. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just
go ahead.
I mean, and then he had that that catch along the goal line again. Asante Samuel's guard. I mean, he had just an absolute monster day, and it's exactly what we thought was going to like. The connection between Derek Carr and Devontae was very clear from the jump. Like first play, it was obvious, and he was. I
don't know if you guys watched the Packer game, but throughout the game they would say Packers offense, Devontae Adams at the bottom of the screen.
God damn,
that's harsh.
They kept doing that. They gave us updates throughout the day. I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, no, Devontae was cooking.
Devontae was routinely outpacing the Packers offense there. I'll go with another guy from that game. I'll say Khalil Mack, who had 3 sacks, a game-sealing sack fumble, and 3 other tackles. His bull rush looked as strong as ever. It looked exactly like I thought it would look after I watched him pre-foot injury last year. Him and Von Miller, I'm split. I want to give it to a defensive guy. They both turned back the clock, and I think they're going to be very scary throughout the course of this year. But I ended up just giving it to Khalil Mack. But there's a lot. I thought about
giving it to Garrett. You know.
All right. Garrett was great too. TJ Watt before the injury was balling as well. But lots of great defensive performances.
I'm going with the receiver anyway. I'm going with a quarterback and a receiver, I'm afraid. I'm going with Jamar Chase, dude. He played so unbelievable. And even then, like, he got robbed of a game-winning touchdown. And they had that one ridiculous catch where, it had the KD stuff where if his shoe size was one size smaller, he would have scored. That was a ridiculous play. And he got open another time when I think it was 4th and goal, like the possession before that, he was open in the end zone and the ball just didn't quite get to him. So I can't, it's just like, how much you expect from him when the ball is thrown his way is ridiculous because he's so good. I don't know how else to put it. He's insane. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, him, Jamar Chase. Saquon too. Saquon also went off. He's an honorable. I could go on and on about honorable mentions, but lots of huge performances and yeah. All right. Anything else?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there is.
I mean, talking about watching football. If you watch football, you need Fubo TV. Fubo TV gives you complete coverage of college and pro football with NFL Red Zone, plus games in 4K at no extra charge. Over 100 channels of live sports and entertainment for a fraction of the price of cable. Watch on all your devices and never miss a game or an episode of your favorite shows with the included cloud-based DVR. Plus, there's no contract, no commitment, and you can cancel at any time. Right now, you can try Fubo TV free for 7 days and get 15% off your first month. Just go to FuboTV.com/stayhot. That's FuboTV.com/stayhot.
All right. Well, I know we wanted to talk about college football, but this episode is already pushing an hour and a half.
Notre Dame sucks. They're unserious and should be
that's
relegated to D2.
Let me
FCS.
I have decided that Quinn Ewers is the guy I want to be a Panther. And I know we'd have to wait 2 years. I'm okay with that. He is so good, dude.
You're ready to tank for 2 years based off a 12-play sample size?
Yes. This guy was unbelievable, man.
He was really good.
He was really unbelievable, dude. I am so... If the Panthers always win a stupid game and never get the high enough pick to get the quarterback, I'm praying that next year is the year they decide, no more. We're winning 2 games this season, getting the number 1 overall. I'm big on Quinn Ewers. It's a shame he got hurt.
I want to skip. My big takeaway is I just want to skip to the part of the year where we get to watch Jordan Addison and why I just had his name in my head. Jesus Christ. What am I even doing here on a sports podcast where I can't think of Caleb Williams' name? Oh. Caleb Williams. And I want to see Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison versus Georgia's defense. That's kind of just my whole thing. USC looks like absolutely game
they're going to make the playoffs. I think they got a real good shot.
I think they might. I think they got a real good shot at it. I want to see that. I want to see them versus Georgia's defense. And I want to see Anthony Richardson bounce back because that game made me want to rip my eyeballs out and then watch him again. Just after I hyped him up on the YouTube account too, I said,
this is
exactly the guy I'm looking for. Like, he pops off the screen. This is exactly the kind of guy I'm looking for if I'm drafting someone in the first round. And then he has the least accurate game of a quarterback I've ever seen in my whole life. So that was kind of the thing that really bummed me out was Anthony Richardson. But friend of the show, Will Levis. Big win in the swamp. Shout out to him.
In the swamp.
Shout out.
In the swamp.
Love to see it. But I don't want to pain our editor anymore. We love you, Michael.
We've been awful.
This is going to be a true test of willpower. But as always, tons of content coming on all platforms. So happy the NFL is back. Football is back. And as always, from Corn Boy, Bird Boy, and Lemon Boy. Oh, by the way, make sure you, if you haven't already, watch my Seahawks franchise. We lost, but that's okay. Spoiler. We're going to keep getting better. We're tanking for CJ Stroud. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
Quinn Ewers, 2
Quinn
years.
Ewers. We're tanking for Archie Manning.
3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. But as always, from Corn Boy, Bird Boy, and Lemon Boy, we will catch you all on the flippity flop.